Spicy Hertas! Hello world, my name is Josh Merhar, and today we will be talking about spicing up your Hertas. All you need to know going into this, you just got to know what a Herta is. If you don't know what a Herta is, it's a very, very simple hybrid rudiment. It is all just hand to hand as far as sticking goes. And it's a 3-beat pattern, and it sounds like this. 1 and 2, 3, 1 and 2, 3, 1 and 2, 3, 1 and 2, 3. So we're going to be using Hertas and Herta 5s. And to derive a Herta 5, sick rhymes, we're just going to add 2 more single strokes to the end of our normal Herta pattern. And that will leave us with something that sounds like... becomes a 5-beat pattern. So this is a Herta, written out and kind of analyzed. So we have this 3-beat pattern. 1 and 2, 3, 1 and 2, 3, 1 and 2, 3. Has this very cool kind of galloping effect. And this is actually a really close cousin to flam accents. So if we look at the sticking for a flam accent, it's pretty much the same sticking as a Herta. It's just kind of smushed together a little bit. That very first hit sort of behaves more like a grace note. Whereas with the Herta, that first hit kind of takes its own place in time. Now to turn this into a Herta 5, all I'm doing is adding a right-left to the very end of our normal Herta, or a left-right if you were doing left-hand lead. So Hertas on their own already sound pretty cool. So why do we even need to spice them up? Because everything can always be better all the time. Spicing them up is actually super simple. All I'm going to do is add a bass drum just before my Herta pattern. If I kind of take my normal Herta, that 3-beat pattern, and just add a bass drum in front of it and kind of offset the whole Herta by a 16th note, we get something that sounds like this. Doesn't sound like much, but when you speed it up, it adds a lot of flair. And we can do the same thing with the 5-beat Herta, and then this kind of turns it into a 6-beat phrase. So now I'm kind of thinking in like 16th triplets, if you will. So da 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 da. That same thing a little bit slower. Da 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 da. So in order to realize the full potential of these patterns, it's really important to be able to move them around the drums and kind of orchestrate them differently. And to start, I think it would be best to kind of play all the Herta stuff on one surface at a time. So if I'm kind of taking my normal Herta with my bass drum out front and kind of move it around a little bit, we get something like... same thing with the Herta 5s and that kick out front. after you're a little more comfortable kind of moving that pattern or moving those patterns around the drums a little bit, then it's kind of time to split the pattern up. And by that I mean, before we were playing everything kind of just on one drum, but we could split these patterns up and play them over many parts of the drum set. So if I wanted to maybe just split off those two quicker 16th or 32nd triplets, 32nd notes, whatever, I don't know. I'm not thinking too hard about the subdivisions here. I'm kind of thinking more in terms of numbers. So I have like a 4-beat and a 6-beat phrase, basically, including that bass drum. So if I were to kind of take that 4-beat phrase, where I have my normal Hertas and the kick out front, I could find a few different ways to break that up. Maybe like... So if I kind of wanted to do the same thing with our 6-beat phrase, which is our Hertas 5 with that kick out front, maybe I could have combinations that are like... Ooh, I kind of like that one. I like that one a lot. I can kind of do the same thing without the rack tom. Have just kick, snare, floor tom. Now, I'm not going to spoil all my tasty little secrets. A huge part of developing a pattern like this is exploring and trial and error and just finding things that work for you, finding things that don't work. Understanding what not to play is just as important as understanding what is appropriate to play. So how do we give these patterns some context? Well, I don't really like to think of these as hard subdivisions. You know, I don't want to think of these as like, oh, okay, I have my 4-beat phrase that can only work in 16th notes or 32nd notes, or I have the 6-beat phrase that can only work in some kind of triplet thing. We could totally take our 4-beat phrase and put it into triplets. We could take our 6-beat phrase and put it into 16th or 32nd notes. And you're going to find that these are really kind of easy to mix and match. So let's say we're dealing with a 16th note subdivision, 4-4. We have 16 16th notes in 4-4. So how could I add up to 16 using a pattern of 6 and a pattern of 4? Well, I could maybe do my pattern of 6 twice, and that's going to fill 12 16th notes, and then I only have 4 more 16th notes. Well, I could just plug in my 4-beat pattern there. And that would give me something, if I played it just on the snare drum, we would have something like 3 and up, 3 and up. 2, 3 and up, 4 and up. So it's just 6 plus 6 plus 4. 3, 4. And we could even rearrange those groupings to get more possibilities. So instead of 6 plus 6 plus 4, what if we did 6 plus 4 plus 6? That still adds up to 16. It should still work. 3, 4. Things get a little stickier if we kind of want to plug in our grouping of 4 beats into triplets. That kind of gets into polyrhythm territory. So if we have our grouping of 4 beats, it's not going to fit evenly in a 16th triplet subdivision. We're going to kind of be down by 2 beats. So if I know I'm in a 16th triplet subdivision, that's kind of breaking every beat into 6 equal parts. So if we're in 4/4, we're going to have 24 beat partials to kind of fill. Division, 24 divided by 4 is 6. So if we take our 4-beat pattern and repeat it 6 times, that will fill out that full measure of 16th triplets. Now let me see if I can even do this while holding the beat down with my left foot. 3, 4. Sloppy, I gotta work on that, but usually if I were doing that in context, I wouldn't be trying to just keep a slow quarter note with my left foot. 2, 3, 4. So that's kind of mixing up the 6-beat phrase with the 4-beat phrase to fill out that full measure of 16th triplets. That is tough to do, holding the quarter note with my left foot, but I almost made it happen. Now I know I said I wasn't going to spoil all my tasty treats or whatever, but if you're like me and you weren't able to go out and get a bunch of tasty treats for Halloween because you're like 25 years old and it's super creepy if you're going around begging for candy door to door, I will provide all of us a tasty proverbial treat. This is going to incorporate that 6-beat pattern, and we are going to turn it into a 9-beat pattern just by adding a flam accent, which remember is a super close relative to the Hertas. So what I'm going for is going to sound like this. So, all I'm doing is taking my 6-beat Hertas phrase with that kick out front, and then I'm just adding a flam accent right after it. So that's kind of where we get that 9-beat phrase that I mentioned a second ago. 6 plus 3 is 9. We did it! So we got... I really like to break that up over the floor tom as well, because it's huge. It's one of those things that just I like have to shower after that. I love it. I love it. So that exact orchestration, I will do it very, very, very slowly, and then I will kind of gradually pick the speed up. That's a freebie for you. The rest of it is up to you. Have fun, explore, mix and match, just move stuff around and try out everything. Everything you could think of. You're going to find a lot of stuff that doesn't work, but in doing so, you will also find a lot of stuff that does work. So thank you for watching and happy practicing.